This is a Constellation Alpha, probably one of the best joysticks on the market for space sims. And today, Virpil has just come out with a new attachment to this. It's going to turn this thing on its side. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. As you can see, Virpil has sent me an absolute ton of boxes, and while we're of course not going to be able to go through all of these now, these are for a future home cockpit upgrade. So if you want to see what all this is about, definitely stay tuned to the channel. But what we're going to be looking at today is this thing here, which is the brand new Virpil C extension. And if you haven't guessed, this video is sponsored by Virpil. Okay, let's see what this is all about. In the box, what we get is, here we go, we get this thing. Look at this. Now, what is this, you may ask? It has this thing that can like alternate on this side, and it has like a thing here, and there's some threads here. Now, what this is, get this out of the way, is an attachment you set in here, allowing you to, as I said, flip this on its side, using it as a bit of like a pod racer kind of handle, like a horizontal handle you can then use for your flight sims. Let me just show you how you actually go ahead and install this. First thing you have to do, of course, is you're going to have to unscrew your current stick. Pretty straightforward. Just unscrew the collar here at the bottom, lift up. Careful with the little cable in there. Put that off to the side. You take your Virpil set extension here, and we're just going to make sure we actually point this the right way. We are. I'm doing it backwards. Then there are two small arrows on this. You're just going to line the arrows up like so that little socket there goes in. Then you can tie this down to make sure it's around 90 degrees out to the side. There you go. Tie that down. And now you can do the same thing with the arrows and line them up. Plug in the little extender cable here, like so. Make sure the collar here is nice and tight. And now what you do is you take the included Allen key that it comes with, and then you figure out what angle you kind of want this in. I'm going to go with a very, very shallow angle. And then we can just take this Allen key and then tighten that down. And now that is locked in place. And what you have now is this weird configuration. And now you can go ahead, you can put your hand on like this. And this is pretty cool. I don't have the plate on because you'll see that in a second why I don't have the bottom plate on. But this is pretty fun. I mean, this is, of course, as you can see here, this is on a left-handed stick, and it is designed for a left-handed stick. You will notice that here in the front of it, we have a nice, like machined out Virpil logo, whereas on the back, there's a lot of screws that actually hold this thing together. So it's definitely intended to be viewed from this side. But I guess that there would be nothing preventing you from using this on a right-handed mode. We're going to try that in a second. But what you have right now is essentially a stick. You can put your hand on it like this, and it forward, backwards, it kind of works like a throttle with some force towards the center notch. And you of course have your sideways motion, and if you decide, you can unlock the twist axis. Right now I have it to twist lock. I'll just find an Allen key for that actually. I got this whole box of tools that you get for when you buy stuff from Virpil, like wrenches and a screwdriver, and there it is, the little Allen key, and extra cams and extra springs and extra everything. And I'm just gonna go, and here in the front there is a little key that you can turn, and if you turn that, you're going to unlock the twist. Get the box of tools out of the way, and now you have this kind of a like throttle handle, kind of like a bit of a motorbike. I mean, I'm getting real like pod racer feels out of this. And I could actually see this replacing a throttle. Obviously you don't get all the buttons that you also get on a throttle that obviously has on the base, but I really like this. I've been thinking about how you would actually like bind key bindings for this. I then have a right-handed stick on the other hand. We're going to try to put this on here in a second. But I have a right-handed stick over here. That's going to take care of yaw. It's going to take care of pitch and roll. And then with this one over here, what I would do is I would have this one be my forward throttle, my reverse throttle, my strafe left and right, and then probably have it unlocked, and then have this be my lift axis, and my descent axis. So we're strafing upwards and downwards, and where this would be strafing up side to side, so that you would end up with this taking care of all translational movements, forward, backwards, up, down, side to side, and the other hand taking care of all rotational movements, pitch, yaw, roll, those kind of things. And another additional feature which is nice is actually you're gonna get 2 triggers. So you're gonna have primary weapons, secondary weapons on them. And again, with the constellations, you actually have, 4 triggers? You have that one flipped out as 1, you have that going in as 1, that one pressed in a little as 1, and all the way bottom out as 1. So we have 4 trigger stages on each side, giving you a total, with a dual stick setup like this, of 8 trigger stages, which is more triggers than anybody needs. So I think this is a pretty cool idea, and I could actually see myself use this. Situations I think where it would be fun would be in small, fast, nimble ships, and I think what I would actually try to do would probably run both this and a throttle next to it. So the throttle would be nice in situations where you want to fly heavier ships, where you don't need that fast change in pace, but when you need more accuracy, you can swap over to this one, for instance, doing landings, those kind of things. You're gonna have so much more fine control compared to what you would otherwise have. Now, I just want to try something here that I actually haven't tried yet, and that is to unlock this again. Well, I've tried to unlock it before. Put this vertically, and just basically be it like, put it off to a side, see if that would even work. First of all, the base is now, the bottom plate is not on. Again, I said I'll show you in a second. But if you imagine that that had a plate on, you can see there's already a problem here. You definitely don't want to run it like this. I can already tell that now. And this is obviously not what it intended to do. If you do want to have your stick raised further than it is, Virpil has extenders. You can put in vertical extenders. They're just straight up, so you can lift this up higher. So if that's what you're looking for, then and then that does exist. But of course, here you can see it. The weight of it is so off-center that it goes off the center point. So we have to do some rather aggressive calibration for getting that to work. And I would also think, yeah, it's very weird. Yeah, it's a very weird feeling doing this. It's definitely not intended to go vertical. It works a lot better if you lay that down. Again, you can choose your angles. I choose a rather extreme angle, and even if you take that very extreme angle, your fingers don't really intersect because they're not in that place where it goes down close to, so you can put it up at other angles. You can lock it in. What I wanted to try now was to actually take this one off and then go and install a right-handed stick on this. So we're gonna go and we're gonna screw this off. I can already see now that this should work. There we go. And indeed it does. So you can use it right-handed. Problem, of course, is you're gonna view it from the opposite side. So you're gonna look at the back side of it, which isn't as pretty as the forward side. So just for the aesthetics, I would actually love it if Virpil would come out with a mirrored one. Because can you imagine this? If we just take this down to its extreme angles again, so it's almost horizontal. Just imagine this, that you would have that on that side, and you would have the opposite side on the other side, and you're sitting here, and now you're in full-on pod racer mode where you could sit and you would have all the different axes and the different controls. It would of course require that the game has dual axis support, where it would be able to run one axis for one engine and one axis for the other engine if you wanted to do the back and forth and having them controlled on either side. But for, I mean, just the feeling of it, now I really feel like you're in some kind of fast-moving spaceship and not as much in a big lumbering transporter. Now, the reason why I don't have the bottom on is actually because I want to go and mount it in this, which is one of Virpil's desk mounts. And I wanted to go and try to get it installed in this, because what I wanted to see is if, when we take this and we move this forward, you can see it goes forward quite a bit. And I wanted to see with your fingers here, and if you're manipulating, especially that trigger up here, do you begin to hit that piece of metal when you mount it on a desk mount like this? That's what I wanted to test. And so while we do that, because as usual, Virpil has included all the tools and Allen keys we need to do this, which is I really like, because sometimes, especially when they sell these internationally, I believe, I can't remember if they use metric or imperial standards for these bolts here, but depending on which side of the pond you're using, depending on which one they actually use, you could get into trouble not having the correct Allen key, and I've been trying to source imperial-sized Allen keys here in Europe, and it can sometimes be a little difficult because we don't use that measurements over here. So the fact that they include the correct tools with it, I think is really, really nice, so that you don't end up stripping the bolts. Now, while I'm just sitting here screwing in the last few bolts here to get this thing properly mounted here, I just want to talk about the build quality of this thing. As usual, when you get stuff from Virpil, it is absolutely perfect and it feels like a premium product. It's some of the attention to details that I really like about it. The fact that they have managed to, let me just put this up right again so you can see, the fact that they have managed to balance it in such a way that when you put on a constellation, the balance point is still straight over the center axis. Of course, you can shift slightly depending on the angle you put it at. If you put it up vertically, yes, the weight will be too much out there. But in this configuration where you have it tilted in as what it is supposed to be used for, it is perfectly stable over the center, and the joystick centers nicely, and the forces in each direction feels equal and balanced as you would expect from a product like this. So again, there's clearly gone some trial and error, or some very clever engineering. Maybe someone's actually calculated exactly how long does this piece have to be so that a constellation joystick's center of mass is aligned right over the center of that axis down here, so you don't get any drift off your dead zones and those kind of things. So again, super nice work done by Virpil, and it looks like a really cool, well-designed product. Okay, with everything in place, let's try to see. So imagine I want to activate this trigger here, but I also want to push all the way forward. I hope this shows up well on camera. I'm pushing all the way forward here, and you can see even if I still have, I can put at least 3 fingers on top of each other here, even the forwardmost position when I am accessing that furthest out trigger there. So I would say plenty of clearance. It's nowhere near intersecting, hitting with anything. It's not in the way. Your fingers are not going to get caught. You have to actively go out and reach out for this in order to actually reach it. Just try it in this. Yeah, there's plenty of room here. So that is not an issue. If you do want to put it up in a desk mount like this, there's going to be plenty of room. And again, even if you decide to fit panels, which you can do, there's holes here on the side that allows you to take some of the control panels Virpil has and mount these here to the side, and they will sit flush with this surface here, meaning you're not going to get into any issues with the joystick here intersecting some of the buttons. I do think if you take one and put it on, maybe some of the buttons that would be down here would be hard to reach, but you're not going to push it by accident and have this thing crash into buttons or stuff if you have panels on the side. That's going to be just fine. So that was my first look at the Virpil C extension. Again, if you want to see this in action and see how it actually looks and how you would actually configure a dual stick setup, or especially a dual stick setup with a horizontal joystick, then do stay tuned, because I'm going to have, first of all, a cockpit upgrade tour later, where we're going to take some of all those boxes I showed you in the beginning of the video, and we're going to get that thing upgraded, and it's going to be amazing. And secondly, there's also going to be guides on, again, how to do dual stick key bindings, both for Elite and for Star Citizen. That's all stuff that's going to come later on down the road. Again, do let me know in the comment section, what do you think of this? Is this something you're interested in? Do you think it's silly? Would you like to see this come in a right-handed variant as well, if you want to go 2 of them horizontal, or are you fine with it just being on the left-hand side? Put them in the comment section below and let me know what you think. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I will see you guys in space.